Oakley dokley. Good afternoon, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, broadcasting from a sunny but pretty goddamn cold Manchester, where we're going to be continuing to do the database version 5 stuff. We started off doing it yesterday. Essentially, the overall general idea about database version 5 is that it's going to allow multiple projects to be stored in it in a hierarchy. So like projects have children and they've got their own entries, which are the corresponding to like the annotation files, and they also have their own. They also have child projects, and we need to represent that kind of hierarchy in the file, and we need to be able to access these guys because we need to be able to index into that store, basically, for the purposes of it's the assets. So we've got a couple of blocks in the database. We've got a projects block, which is going to be storing this stuff here, and we've got an assets block which stores assets, and each asset comes with a number of landmarks, and each landmark corresponds to an entry in a project. So each of those landmarks need to actually have the index for those things. It needs to have the index for the entry, and it also needs to have some way of indexing into the actual project itself. And what we figured out yesterday, basically this idea here, if you're going to store it like this, we can index into it by generation and like index in each thing. So in this thing here are risky and bitwise are all going to be generation 0, right? All of these guys down here are going to be generation 1, and we just number them all sequentially. So, right, even though they're in different trees overall, they're still in the same generation. So we just number them all across, and then these guys down here are generation 2. So they're basically same deal. And I think we figured out that would be a reasonable way of doing it. Or at least we thought that was a possible way of doing it. And yesterday we just got started on doing that. So we got a bunch of functions going on here. These are essentially locating blocks and skipping blocks and skipping bits within blocks. Definitely using locate functions, yeah. So it's only these guys. These guys down here that this to do is actually talking about. So that's going to have to be moved down. Don't know about that at the moment. But what we're doing is here, we started off doing this locate project function. Now, I think I might rename it to locate project by index. I think that'd be reasonable. I'm not sure if we're going to need any other. Well, actually, no, I won't. I'm going to keep it. Just leave it as it is, because we've only got one way that we actually locate projects. We only locate them by their index at the moment. So let's not second guess ourselves. Let's just stick with what we've got. And if we need to disambiguate these functions, we will do. So the very first thing you need to do in order to locate a project is to locate the project's block, which is what we're doing here. If we've got a project's block, we can start to, well, you first have to skip past that actual block, right? Now what I suggest we do here is the following. I think we need to make a locate project recursively, which itself will be which will be able to call itself essentially, and it's going to take our accumulator. It's going to take our project index accumulator. So I guess like this project, I guess it's like the desired, the desired project. Yeah, but either way, it's going to take both of those dudes, and I think it's going to take a pointer to a project, to the first project. And I think that should suffice to get us through an entire project, because we'll be able to call itself on any of its children. And another additional thing is this projects block is a separate thing from the DB header project, right? This contains like the number of generation 0 projects essentially. So when we're talking up here about this for loop here, we're looping over the generation 0 functions, generation 0 projects rather. So what I'm basically suggesting is that this bit, this for loop here, just gets pulled out into its own function. So let's just rather than talking about it, let's just fucking do it. I think he wants to be returning one of these, but we'll see. I think also we want it to be taking the DB header project itself. We want to get the accumulator, which needs to be like that. Oops. I suppose actually I'll do the other way around. Product index is like the desired project index. And also I was kind of wondering, like, are we going to need to add to the project index like a project pointer essentially? Right, so just in here add like a DB header project. Oh, I guess do we need to do that so that we can actually determine whether we've actually got our dude? Because once we've found somebody, we're going to want to be returning from this, aren't we? I mean, it's possible this would actually just do it for us actually. Yeah, we'll see if we do need that. It's just like, how do you know if you've actually got the person you need? Let's work through it. So for all of these dudes, oh right, yeah, we do need to return the pointer to the project so that we can increment the actual pointer here, right? So we do need a different thing that stores where we're up to, and a different thing that stores what the actual accumulator is up to. Does that make sense? So we've got this is a header project. Probably reasonable to just say this is equal to locate project recursively. It's going to start at this. It's going to take the desired project index, which is the project, the accumulator. Is that 1, 2, 3? So those are the 3 things that you need. I've got a feeling that we won't need to do this here. I think rather what you do, I'm not sure, but we'll work through it. I do think though that plussing the accumulator generation at the start of this guy is what you want to be doing. And I think you do need to skip the project this. And then you call the locate project recursively on this dude that on this new dude that you're at. Does that sound reasonable? Let's work through it, but we'll see. And what is this, by the way? Jesus Christ. So as we were just saying, this is going to have a different representation of the where we're up to and the actual thing we found. So this means here, if the accumulator index is equal to that, then what we say is the accumulator pointer is going to be equal to the header child I. Is that right? Oh, hang on a second. DB header projects. It's not going to have a pointer, is it? Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course it has children, doesn't it? Doesn't it? That's a good point, I think. So we've got the child count. It could actually end up being just this, mightn't it? Because as you hit a child count, so we probably can't. think a similar kind of thing should be happening in the Lego project recursively. If the accumulator's point has been set, after we've called itself, if the accumulator point has been set, then we just return from this function, right? So yeah, I guess in some ways, returning this isn't really strictly necessary. The question was this, wasn't it? It was like, so sitting at project here. Clearly this particular project isn't what we actually want to be talking about. So what you need to do, you pass in the head of that project. I think you want to skip past this person's entries first of all. And then you skip past its header rather. For the child counts. So this should actually end up being this, shouldn't it? Interesting, that is just returning this. Now, see what I'm seeing? I mean, for that matter. First, yeah, you do want to first of all skip past the header, don't you? some ways you sort of... So if something has got no children, you still need to skip past the project. Right, so having gone through this loop, you'd still need to do a skip project. Which sort of suggests that you don't do that skipping up there, you actually just do it in here. Now we need to keep the header around, so I think we're okay to actually say, so we peel off the this, right? So we can always be talking about the actual header that came in. This header childcount is always going to be remaining as it needs to be remaining. We set up this, and then for each child you just say that this is skip project this. So you're getting past the parents header. Oh, actually, yeah, that's a point. What does this do? Does it skip the header? Yes, it does skip the header. So yeah, we skip past the parents header. Sorry, the entire parents. If the accumulated generation is equal to the desired product generation, if the accumulated index is equal to the desired product index, then you say that the accumulated pointer is equal to where we're up to. Otherwise, because we're looking at the right generation, we just accumulate the index. And then you go on to the next person, so then the next person will skip that project themselves, right? Or rather, to put it another way, I think we then need to do a loop, don't we, actually? Right? And having done any of these, we could say if the accumulator's been set, then we return I mean, for all that, you just return the accumulator pointer. Right, I think you do need to do that, because you'll need a way to get through all the children. And you'll also need a way to get out of it. So this at least sets the accumulator pointer. So it sets the returns. If this call has done that, setting the accumulator pointer, then we say if the accumulator pointer then return that accumulator pointer, we just keep returning it until we're out back of the locate project function. Right. So it could be way off base here. Oh yeah, I mentioned that after all this we need to actually incrementally do it along, don't we? So we're back onto the accumulation generation, back down to 0, or back down to what it was before it came in, which I think would be reasonable. And then you return this. I mean, for all that, you could just return the skip project list, can't you? I'm going to leave it to do up here. If something's wrong, this is probably where it is. Because we still can't really test this because we don't have all the info, we don't have all the data set up for us to actually do it. I mean, maybe we could hack it. You know, hack this sort of generation testing stuff in the parser. You know, the parse tree. But I think I'd rather just continue on this path. Let's get the database writing out, and then test this stuff properly when we get there. Right. Now, so that's going to consider the thing. Maybe. So if we're going to be numbering that 5, maybe we actually number the struct 5, and then we number the database to be the database 5. Would that be right? Yeah, we'd be fine, wouldn't we? Because we're only talking about the member name. We're not talking about anything more fancy than that, are we? Right, so this guy can talk about this. I think that's basically what we need. And then we need to define a product index to be product index 5, basically. Unknown product. So we've defined product index. DB. Oh, it's not DB, it's just product. Database 5. What's happening here? Okay. Entries header. So all this goes to say, fucking hell. So the whole point of doing all of that stuff, we still could do like an entry, wasn't it? Oh, we need to. Well, we've got the header for the project, so we know that. Just that is it. And then this little guy down here. See where this landmark entry index is being used. You make the local entry take that to the landmarks thing. It's basically this. So it's taking a pointer. Yeah, so that can be a pointer. Can't it? Local entry. It's going to be the landmarks. And also for all that matter, like it's going to be the landmarks project and the landmarks So let's get index range length. What is this assuming? Alright, so we're just talking about the landmarks here, so we're iterating through the landmarks. Seeing that we're still talking about the same entry index, which is perfectly fine. So yeah, this dude here, malform.metadata file, can go away now. Entry's block ID not in the block expanded location is irrelevant now, isn't it? Unless I'm mistaken. Update asset in DB. Well, let's just see the entry's header is actually used somewhere. I mean, even if it is used, you just have to locate it again. So all this is trying to do is to locate the asset's header, isn't it? So what does found mean? So I don't think everybody that accesses the database needs to do this check. I think when you do the init database, that is the person who does this kind of garbage, right? And then I think that whenever somebody needs to do stuff with it, like this guy here, or asset DB, I think this person should be entitled to just say, right up at the head end, just like, and also rather than using the DB assets header directly here, because we're only accessing it, let's just try and get a pointer to it, right? Didn't we make a get block function? Where the goddamn hell was I? Oh, sorry. Sure I did that, didn't I? Oh, locate block. Yeah. So there we go. The locate project does this. Locate block takes the block ID, skip block, skip asset. So here I've got all this stuff here. Actually, this might be fine. Because this is only trying to snipe. Well, clearly, as the function name says, it's trying to snipe checks of enclosed file. So this is talking about the HTML file. We're being past the first landmark. We just need to make sure this still gets past the right thing. We know how many landmarks there are in the file. The checksum's fine. I'm not exactly sure why there needs to be a buffer though. Not that it really matters, probably. Yeah, I mean we need a way to format the thing. You know, to make it into a hexadecimal value. Which we don't have in our make string functions. Maybe this is completely fine, and something we don't need to care about just at the moment. But if we go down to the Odessa thing, right? I'm sort of proposing getting rid of all of this garbage. Like, there's no need for us to exit, by the way, if we've got a mouthful metadata file, because it's not necessarily a mouthful metadata file. If we haven't got an assets block, all that means is that you need to edit an assets block, right? right? I mean, why? Now, skip block. We could have an enum for the blocks, couldn't we? Oh, mind you. So this guy's actually taking the pointer to the start of the block. Sorry, I was looking at skip block here, by the way. The locate block function. So we're saying we want to locate the block. So we're passing the 4cc. If it's taking an enum, we're going over the block count, and first in is equal to that. You need to do like a get 4cc from block ID. I'm just thinking in terms of what we're going to have to be doing, possibly. Because like I'm just starting off here. Locate block asset, init block, 4cc asset. Like, do I want to be calling 4cc all over the place? I mean, another thing is that it's a bit error prone, isn't it? You know, if you're manually writing 4cc ASET all the time, it's not very systematic, is it? So yeah, I'm inclined to introduce a thing here. Do we have this? No. So it's going to be a block proj. Now that I think about it, doesn't Casey have a const z macro? I guess we don't know actually what we're talking about here, do we? Yeah, let's do a get. Well, actually, Then this guy down here takes instead the does this get full from block ID? Right. And then the init block similarly. Do we have an init block function, I wonder? We don't. So we've got these skips. I guess the... So what could the skips ever have to call init? I suggest the init probably goes below all of these guys, so it could conceivably call it if it wants to. And it literally just has to put the block is all it needs to, it just needs to stick the block somewhere. I mean, we can put it at the end of the file for now, but we can enforce an order. But I think for now, just to get this going, I think I'll just stick it at the end of the file for now. I think this should be okay. So you point it directly into the file, and then just straight out write the file out. Because basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to increment the block counts, write out the entire file, and then append the new block to it, and then read the file back into the buffer. And just incrementing that block count is just going to do nothing other than it's not going to affect the size of this file. So have I got a cycle file button? I do have a cycle file. So it needs to close. Okay, so we need to I mean, it's basically like db metadata well, sorry, it's open the db then we switch on the ID. We need to initialize it. So it's like a B. How do you do this? DB. I think cycle file is actually the thing, isn't it? That does the close. Freeze the buffer and reads it back in. Yeah. Now a funky thing here, we've got this size. It's at the size that we're actually creating the new block. So what you can do is you can say the initial location is there. Or rather the bytes into file. Right, then we cycle this file. Surely do it like that. And then what you do is you return the location of the database meta. Basically do this. Is that right? What doesn't this like? Has no member name file, data, DB metadata. All right. So having an F written, we need to break. Wow, thanks for catching that, Mr. Compiler. So we seem to be keen to use the db metadata buffer pointer, so let's just use it. Now, also, just before I go any further, let me just do to do here. Because basically, when you do a locate block, right, what is this actually, where's it doing it? Get block from return pointers. Right, skip block, yeah, so, right, skip block, if the block is a 4cc proj, and I think it's reasonable in this case to be making this do the 4cc proj. Although, now that I think about it, you could say same again. Get 4 from block ID and pass proj. So this guy could also make use of that. Well, hold on a second. Yeah, it could, couldn't it? Right. Now, what I was talking about here, if it's a B proj, then you just skip the project block. If it's a B asset, then you skip the assets block. Now, skipping the assets block is simply this. Pretty sure that's all you need to do to skip the assets block, isn't it? Well, it's these two functions. Skip asset and skip assets block, you just skip the asset, and then this guy skips all the landmarks. To skip the projects block, you do skip project and children. Skip project and children can match call itself, so it's like hang on a minute, is this correct? This might be not right actually. Skip project block because the block counts. Maybe it's fine actually. Don't know. I think I'm actually inclined to make it do the other way around. I know it sounds weird, but maybe it doesn't matter. The reason I was thinking to do it the other way around is that we did it the other way around in the locate function, didn't we? It was like we need to have preserved the basically we need to have preserved the parents' child counts. So we kept that intact up here and only incremented past the parents after we've gone past all the children. Which might have been the wrong choice, honestly. No, I think that's correct. Surely there's a place where we increment the assets. Yeah, the assets head account. This is a bit cheesy. Basically, this is assuming... Yeah, this is totally assuming that the assets go after the projects. So it's just appending a new asset to the end of the entire file, without bothering to actually write out the rest of the file if there was any more to write out. think we should be entitled to straight up use the assets block here. Because we're pointing into the file. This guy is dereferencing the db metadata buffer pointer, which we're fine doing. Presume that's right. Now, actually, the asset. Like, why couldn't this just be the actual pointer into the file? Do we not have a get asset file function, rather? One way to find out. Oops. So we have a get asset. Oh, wrong kind of a get asset. Get asset from data, or locate asset would actually be, wouldn't it? Because we're trying to locate it in the database. Yeah, like locate assets. Yeah, I mean, for that matter, why doesn't the locate asset perform this? Right? Because it's reasonable to assume that if you're trying to locate an asset, you want to be also you need to locate the block first of all. Right, this is the granularity that you want, isn't it? Oh, actually, no, you do need to have the assets block so that you can increment the assets block count. So let's say that it's fair. It's fair to do that because we're trying to update asset. If we have got an asset, then we do all this garbage. Otherwise, we actually need to increment the asset count. In which case, we need the actual assets block. So okay, yeah, I'll take that back. But what we do need is to be able to say, I mean, we could also have like a pointer thing. It's like, it takes the block assets. And we're trying to locate the file name and the asset type. Right? If you haven't got a block, so if you've been past 0 as that, then you initialize it, right? I mean, actually, now that I think about it, if you haven't got a block, You just return 0, actually, don't you? Locate asset. Yeah, it's kind of interesting actually. Update asset in DB. So in our case here, we're going to be passing the block to our function. What we're trying to do actually, we'll go in by the DB asset file, and it says the assets. I think we'll probably actually try to locate the asset index. The assets, asset file, probably trying to locate this, aren't we? Sorry, we need to pass the block, right? First of all. Apparently, update asset in DB only knows about the asset index. Hold on a second. This could pass the pointer to the asset. And similarly, rather than this being asset, CSS topic equals known. This guy's returning a linguistic anyway. Points to an asset. So what I'm kind of driving at is couldn't this just be a get asset? And then that passes get asset, and if that asset is known, update it. Well, yeah, I might have disentangled this stuff a bit actually. I don't think it'll stop us from continuing. But you can sort of see what I'm driving at here, can't you? Because we don't... Well, we do have the asset index, sorry. But in only having the asset index... I suppose for all that matter, actually, this guy could take the asset index. Couldn't they? Says it can perform this check. And this is our if. So, do we have a skip asset? Yeah, we do. So let's do that. Now, what is the buffer pointer supposed to be saying? I think we can determine that anyway. If we need it later on, we can do that, I reckon. I mean, also, if it's fat, so in this case here, if it's found true, because this, you can see here that that is just going to get set to the DB asset, which would have been previously set way up there. I think we need to be this doesn't use a pointer, does it? No, there's no mention of the pointer down there. So there's two mentions of the pointer. Oh, sorry, here, and here. Snapchat sent to date HTML. So we're getting into the buffer pointer. Hang on a minute, Snapchat HTML. Why are we taking the metadata buffer pointer then? What's that supposed to be telling us? The first landmark. So surely we just need a pointer that is just located immediately after the assets header, don't we? Immediately after this asset. If we've got an asset, right, all this crap is going away, this whole little block here. Rather than doing if found, it's if asset, right? So yeah, let's just do that. I think I understand what's supposed to be happening, so I can just reproduce it. So if you've got an asset, then you want to say if the asset's hash is not equal to the hash of the that we've newly hashed, I presume, then we want to set that asset's hash to be equal to that hash. We then want to say where was that guy? Snipe checksum to block HTML. This is where we need to pass that pointer. So we do the checksum, the file. So this is a new file. Asset files equal to resolve path. Okay, yeah, I can buy that. The asset file. The only reason that was getting the asset file here is so we can print out the actual location. And then we snipe checksum to HTML using that pointer that we just got. Clear the terminal row as we fixed the other day. Decline that buffer. And then we want to write out the entire file, right? Because we've simply sniped that stuff in, right? You found the asset and all you're doing is updating the checksum, so you can reasonably just write out the entire fucking file having done that. Now if you haven't got an asset, then what you need to do is you need to say that the assets, we need to increment the assets block count. Right, this dude up here that we located in the database. We then need to write out, so assets header location, I mean it's just like assets block take away the assets DB mesh data location buffer location, isn't it? Isn't it just that? So we've incremented the actual thing in the actual file. So actually what you need to be doing is there actually, do we do the hash here? I wonder. Asset hash, yeah, we do the hash. We do the file name. Finally print off the asset. I think what we want to do is write out. We need to determine where the assets block is. I've got a funny feeling this isn't actually. Oh right, yeah, I see. So it's then printing out. It's then outputting the rest of the entirety of the file up to there. As I was saying before, that's what it was assuming. It was assuming that the assets block is the final block in the file. So it's going to write out up to the start of the assets block. It's then going to write out the new assets block with the new count, and then it writes out the rest of the file, and then it writes out a new asset, and then that's it. It just reloads the file in. So this isn't right now. We actually need, because we want to have this notion that it's the thing can go in either direction, basically. So basically, we've got a buffer here of stuff. I think we need to determine where the end of the buffer is. Sorry, where the end of the block is. Something I just remembered actually. Wasn't James talking about void star point arithmetic? You shouldn't do it. You should do it with cars. I think we're within our rights to allow locate asset functions to, well, I mean, that doesn't actually do that, but this guy here should be taking a car start, should be doing this, right? The skip asset can reasonably, I think we were talking about, this could reasonably return a void star. But it's like, when you're actually operating on these guys, you should actually be talking about specifically characters. The skip asset can take, it's taking a pointer. So the pointer is going to be a car. Star, which is not a DB asset. Is it? Right. Or I suppose to put it another way. I think that's more like what you want. Similarly here. I think that's more like what you want. So yeah, then we're back down here. So having done that little detour, let's suss this out. So we've got a location of the assets block. We need to determine how many assets we're going to output. It's like for each asset, just go past them, because the assets have got a different number of landmarks within them. So we're essentially saying, find the point that's at the end of the assets block, right? Find the point that's at the end of the assets block. Write out all of the stuff up to there. Write out a new asset, and then write out the rest of the file. That's what you want to do. I guess it's like the insertion point. This is it, yeah, locate. Yeah, I mean, this could be for all that, it could be that. So you're going to pass in the assets block, clearly. I mean, is that it? It's probably just it, actually, isn't it? We might actually want to locate end of projects block at some point. It's actually, we don't need to iterate through them, you just need to say what the asset's landmark count is. So it's basically for the block count. So you've already got the pointer. Yeah, it's literally just this, isn't it? Well, you need to increment past these asset and its landmarks. Right. And then we're going to write out up to the insertion point. Having already incremented the actual count, do all of that, scrap that, write out the new asset, and then write out the remainder of the file. Hang on a minute. Plus the insertion point. The entire size taken with the insertion point. Should just be it, shouldn't it? Okay. So we're now down to a different thing here. Skip the entries block. Yeah, there's no such thing as entries block anymore. Because it's a project block. So I think that guy can go. I think both of these fuckers can go. Because basically we've got a skip block, haven't we? Which itself figures out whether it needs to skip the assets block or the projects block. So yeah, I think these go. And the locate assets block needs to be locating the actual block. It's like the DB. No, init built-in assets. I guess place asset is going to write out the thing, isn't it? Probably, if you can't find it. No. So this only places an asset into the thing, into the assets array. So this person locates the assets block. I think you want to if there's no asset block, you need to init it, probably. Because we're sort of, this is init assets here. I think it's reasonable to initialize the assets block if it can't find one. Essentially. Mind you, there's this push asset call. What does this do? Is this, well, hang on, push asset calls place, doesn't it? Yeah. So where's that write out actually happening? Surely it's writing out something somewhere, isn't it? Oh, hang on, maybe it's not, actually, now that I think about it. Assets header. Ah. Maybe init assets is simply reading in from the database. That's probably what it's trying to do, actually. So you initialize the built-in assets. You look at the block. And you just say, you know, if you even got a block, which you should do, shouldn't you? If you're initializing built-in assets, you should surely have written them out somewhere, shouldn't you? That's just why I'm a bit bamboozled by this, because like, where's the DB coming into this? Right, I mean, we're pushing a watch handle. Surely the fit, no, fit isn't doing anything like that. Yeah, again, all these guys are only pushing onto the assets array, aren't they? Doesn't that seem a bit odd to you? What was this doing before? It would initialize and it would locate assets block. It skips the entries blocks. It's trying to get to the assets block. Having located the assets block, so it just simply puts the DB metadata buffer pointer at that place. It increments past the assets header, the assets block. Having dereferenced the assets header, it goes over the guys in the thing. And it simply pushes them onto the assets array. Like, it doesn't initialize an assets block, strangely. So we might want to make it initialize an assets block. Which is odd, like... Yeah, it's just weird. What's this called here? What was it pushing from? Sorry. So yeah, it's just literally that. And then so there we go. The entry now has a different thing. It doesn't. It has like HTML based file name. Yeah. So what is this actually supposed to be talking about? It should be talking about the output, shouldn't it? And this is talking about what? I presume that whenever we're talking about the neighborhood, we're usually going to be talking about the output location. Yeah, we totally are, because we're using the base file name. Construct the player year off the base. Yeah. It's the output location L, isn't it? So if you see base file name, it's just output location. Pretty sure. Binary search for metadata entry. I think this needs to get a bit smarter, doesn't it? This guy's going to need to know about project, isn't it? Yeah, it totally is. Let's just see how many more we've got of these. It's got 9 or 10 pages of it. No member name, base file name, so there's just a load of those guys, which is fine. Control chains of non-void function, really. In the get forth and block ID. Okay, I guess we just make that return 0 if it needs to. But yeah, I think. Oops. I think where we're up to now, we need to figure out exactly what we're talking about, because this line here is going to have to at least change to be something a bit more sane. DB entry says to know about the for this while upper pivots. So how does it determine these guys? Lowers that the upper DB entries header. Yeah, so I reckon this dude is going to have to take a pointer to the DB project header, the DB header project, so it can know the bounds of the thing. And I also wonder, oh no, because it's setting the index of it. Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I'm wondering if we can just make it straight to return the entry, but that won't be sufficient. We need to return also or at least we need to set somehow the index at which to insert it. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think we've done a couple of hours. Yeah. I'm going to take a break. Let's just have a quick look at the chat. Daughter's here. Oh shit, sorry dude, I missed you. So just in case you catch the VOD, blimey, 2 hours ago. That is very unfortunate. What time is it now? So we go 2:17. Yeah, so just well into it, wasn't I? It would have been 16:10 when I just started. Yeah, if you're catching on the VOD. Basically making the database handle multiple projects. That's the goal, really. So currently, all these years, the database has only handled a single project. And we're now making it handle multiple projects. And also we're making the database a bit more flexible in terms of how you access it. So here you got an example of this being kind of like a fixed thing. It's assuming that the single project, all of the entries are going to be located at this point. So it's basically like from the start of the file, you just increment past the main database header, and then increment past the size of the entries header. It's basically assuming that the entries block, which we're now calling the projects block, is located immediately after the DB header, which isn't necessarily true. And even if we do make it necessarily true, we should really make a better way of accessing it, basically. But also, additionally here, we don't even know that even if we do locate the project's header, we don't know if we've got the right, or the project block, we don't know if we've got the right project itself, right? So that's what we need to do here. We need to make sure that we're actually working with the right project. So yeah, let's just make sure that this is the place where it's down. Yeah, it is. Okay. So yeah, like I say, I've done a couple of hours, so I'm going to go get some food in me and then do some more after it. Work through the binary search thing. Basically, the insert into DB. It's essentially, like I say, it's just making sure that we're actually accessing the right people. Sync DB with import. Surely this is quite a. I think this is main now. I think so. Maybe sync DB with import needs to take the current project, and then that passes the current project down to other people. I beg your pardon. The current project is actually only in the config, so we actually need to locate the current project in the database. So yeah, we're kind of getting into the territory where a lot of this stuff, a lot of the configuration and the database really need to know about each other, really. So yeah, that's what we're up to. But we'll do that after break. So thank you very much, James and Harry, for being here, for being fantastic, and for working. It's always good to be working. We don't want to be not working until we return. Farewell for now.